So, hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the Sustainability Talks of BPI Wealth and Lighthouse Marina Resort and its foundation, Lighthouse Legacy Foundation. So, my name is Raf. I am one of the directors of Lighthouse Legacy Foundation, and thank you for being here. We do appreciate everyone being here. Let's also give a hand to Jason, who has head of operations. He set this whole thing up. Thank you, Jason. Making sure it's very nice, clean, and this place smells really good. That's one of my personal favorite things about Lighthouse. So I understand some people are here because there's a sailing competition. Some people are here because they want to meet other people, and some people are here because they want to learn, right? And the point of these sustainability talks is to give people the chance to learn a bit more about what's going on in the world and how the world is facing a massive transition. One from a history of where wealth was mostly extractive to today where building wealth must necessarily be regenerative. If not, it comes at the cost of the world as we know it, right? And so we have a lineup of speakers for the next 3 days. We've got two of my good friends here. We have Nikki, right, who from EcoNest, and we have Irene from the EcoShift. They'll be sharing their stories a bit later. And if you're here tomorrow, please stay tuned. The entrepreneurs and change makers coming tomorrow are also very good. But for the first talk, if you allow me, I'll be the one to share as I share my hat in terms of educational travel and impact tourism, which is why you see on your screen, we call it Adventures That Matter. And this is actually why I ended up working with Lighthouse, because Lighthouse, if you're a sailor, you love to go on adventures, right? You love the sea. And that love for the ocean is also what drew me to the environment, right? And one of the frameworks, perhaps, that we use a lot today is called the 4 pillars of sustainable and regenerative economy, or the sustainability compass. So you have people, planet, profit, but you also have personal well-being. Because if you do good for the economy, the environment, and society, but you're not doing good for yourself, you are what we'll call a martyr. And nobody wants to be a martyr, right? So our organization focuses mostly on waste and ecosystem restoration, right? And perhaps one thing that I want to share is I give a lot of talks around the Philippines, and half of the university students today that I speak to are usually stressed about climate change. This was not something that stressed me out as a student, but it is a main stressor today. 85% of high school students I get to speak to are stressed about the climate, right? I didn't think about the climate when I was in high school. And so it's sad to think today that high school children need to be stressed about the heat or the flood. Right? In fact, when I was young, if it was stormy and flooding, I'd celebrate because there's no school. But today I'm scared, and so are the children. Right? So everyone's looking for hope, right? And hope starts with the environment, right? Anyone here, the gentleman in the back, anyone here who loves the environment? What's your favorite thing about the environment? Anyone care to share, sir? Anything? Ocean, perhaps? Huh? I like to surf, right? And it's this experience that brought me to doing business by the ocean. So in my head, my business is not proper hostel. It's not just accommodations. It is a clean beach and the chance to experience a beach, right? This was my first oceanside business, right? Very small. But soon after we set up our business, I started surfing in this. This is my surf instructor, good friend Paolo, and he's surfing in a wave full of trash. This is 2016. Early days of the plastic revolution around the world. And he's very angry, right? And as we did more research, we started to see how we were destroying the very thing that was giving us happiness, that was giving us economic livelihood, right? It's absolutely crazy, right? Now, this trash would flow, all rivers flow to the ocean, to the sea. And so this trash would find its way into the bellies of things that live in the ocean. So if you've eaten sashimi, or grilled fish, you've probably eaten plastic. Because almost all fish in the world today have plastic in their bellies. Fish cannot decipher if what they're eating is a jellyfish, floating meat, or plastic, right? Yeah, belly of yellowfin tuna, right? And even more alarming is that, if plastic lands on coral, it is 89% more likely to get sick. 89% is like a COVID vaccine. It's pretty much sure you're going to get sick coral. And corals produce 1,000 kilos of seafood per hectare per year. So I'm showing you the numbers because I love math. And I teach climate mathematics at some of the international schools here. And this is the best way I feel to communicate the value of the environment, right? This used to be everywhere, but today we're facing this. Of course, heating is also an issue, right? And it goes back to one thing. What people do not take care of, it's probably because they don't understand, right? You don't take care of what you don't understand, right? And so allow me to help you understand some things about our planet now. I took the liberty of looking at the data from the Smithsonian Museum in the US to find out how much does Bohol Island earn from clean reefs, raw catch. And so I did the math. 1.5% of ocean has reef times 9,000 hectares, that's Bohol, multiplied by seafood per hectare per year times average price in market. That's the value of Bohol's raw seafood. What is that? 2.7 billion per year, pesos. I did the same for Cebu. Cebu is 2.3 billion pesos raw seafood. And of course, because I grew up in Metro Manila, I had to do one for Manila Bay, Pasig River, and Laguna de Bay because they're all connected. Like, Pasig River is actually an estuary, meaning water flows up and water flows down, depending on the tide, right? That's it. 2.9 million kilos of seafood per year in Manila Bay, if it's clean. There are people who fish in Manila Bay today. I don't want to eat it. I bet you wouldn't want to eat it either after getting to smell the seashore. Same for Pasig River, right? And so it goes back to what's happening in the world today. 6 out of 10 fishermen catch plastic alongside fish. And even the world's best island in the Philippines, what's on the cover of travel magazines today, has floating trash. Like, what brand is this? Coke. And what is this? Nature Spring. Correct. Huh? It's important because we know it. That means we've all probably used it, right? So we can't be throwing this away anymore because out of sight and out of mind doesn't mean it's taken care of, right? And I like to go to coffee shops. In this coffee shop, I stayed for 6 hours and I took a picture of everyone here. Where there is a circle, there is a group of people dining in but using takeout cups. Why in the world would you use takeout cups when you're dining in? There is a behavioral problem, right? But perhaps it goes back to what we discussed earlier, that people don't take care of what they don't understand. And what I'm sharing with you today, that wasn't taught in school. So what we did is we tried to get a campaign going. We were fortunate enough to be picked up by BBC on our segregation and education campaign. This is it. They think that plastic wrapper for biscuits is the same as banana peel. So just in the interest of time, we use the trash to build stuff for the walls, the dividers, things that we needed. And these are the brands that came in: Coke, Gatorade, Powerade, right? And we put them in this wall, which still stands today. That's 1.5 tons of plastic trash in our wall versus in the ocean. It's still there. We built that in 2017, right? We built a bar, we put trash inside, and now no one can see it because we sealed it with cement. Right? Bike rental facility, reforestation nursery, and we tried to get different artists to communicate that, right? And I think it's making good headway because there are more and more entrepreneurs and NGOs taking up the cause, more people trying to implement the laws, even Miss Earth doing a school tour. I've never seen kids pay so much attention in school before. Now, heating is an issue. This year is the hottest year on record. And every time you use a piece of plastic, it produces 3 times its weight in carbon, which makes the planet hotter. 1 kilo of plastic, 3 kilos carbon, right? We can't afford the world to get hotter. And so if you want it to stay cooler, then you must use less plastic as much as possible. Recycling isn't enough. We don't have enough recycling in the world to combat that, right? And it's hot. It's really hot. Florida ocean temperature, 37 degrees. That's your body temp, maybe higher. Casiguran Aurora in 2023 August, 60 degrees heat index. Today is 42 to 45. They had 60. That is dangerous, right? Public schools today are calling off afternoon class because it's too hot. How much, right? How much are we going to pay for the convenience of plastic? It's not worth it because kids can't study anymore, right? And so one of the things perhaps that you can consider is when you build, there are products today that utilize a lot of plastic recycled. This one of my favorites, it's Green Ant. It's it's a brick made with 7% recycled plastic. Just a way to incorporate existing plastic, but I do suggest you take a look at the products in this room because they allow you to reduce your waste continuously. Anyway, there's a lot of science and technology around there, and I guess that's the message I want to impart. Oops. Now, where is that? There is a law, an EPR law, that hopefully will continue to pick up. It will only get implemented if people understand. Because if people don't understand the effect of plastic on our lives, the law doesn't matter, right? That's for sure the story of this country, with many beautiful laws that we don't know about, and so it doesn't get implemented, right? And so I started my story with the ocean, but my love for environment doesn't end there. It extends to the mountain and into the mountains of Zambales, which if you step outside, you will see all the burnt and toasted mountains of this beautiful province. What you see outside is a symbol of our country, which has lost most of its lumber. In the US Senate, there are records of its Congress explaining to the then president why it was necessary to buy the Philippines from Spain, because it had lumber to last generations and because it had soil that was more fertile than any field in California, right? And this is what happened in several generations. We lost most of it, right? And as we lost most of it, it makes us one of the most vulnerable in the world. Specifically, if you look at the water cycle, without trees, it gets hotter. With trees, it gets cooler. With trees, you have regular rainfall. That's why it's called a rainforest, no? And as today, same as January 2016, we are experiencing drought again, right? But we don't have to, right? But who pays for that? Usually the poorest of the poor. And what's happening because of the irregular rain, because there are less trees around in the forest, rivers have lost 75% of their water. Some of the farmers we work with in Batangas, only half their farm has rice. You know why? It's not fertilizer, it's because they don't have enough water, right? The global government spent extra money to buy the fertilizer, even if it was more expensive because of the Russia-Ukraine war. But no, water in the end was the issue. So what happens? The town now has a rice deficit for the first time in history, right? And when the rain comes, it really pours. This is a picture of a Category 4 storm, right? And floods galore in the country, right? Zambales experienced one of its worst flooding last August, no? And I'll share with you how that happens, right? This video shows you what happens when you have a mountain without trees and a mountain with trees. The mountain with trees, when it's raining, the trees will absorb the water, whereas the mountain without trees, the water flows out from the top. So that's a landslide, that's a flash flood. And look at it, it takes all the topsoil with it. So dirty water, right? The topsoil has all the nutrients. And so whoever's gonna farm in this after, good luck. That's not healthy soil. Whereas on the other side, water flows all the way down to the aquifer, comes out underneath. This is what feeds your streams, rivers, and waterfalls. This is what allows you to pump water manually from underground, right? Look how clean it is, and look how predictable the flow of water is, right? So what we're doing in this province is we're trying to reforest 3,000 hectares, right? And that starts in this town called San Felipe, where we launched our tour program called Tribes and Treks. It's a simple trek. You walk through the valley. If you're too tired, you can take a Grab Carabao. But the Carabaos have a time limit before 9 a.m. because they also overheat. No? They don't like the sun. And then when you get there, you spend the afternoon and late morning in the community, get to learn from them, right? Eat. We work with them to make their food restaurant level. We work with trained cooking professionals, and then we do a lot of interaction in terms of their food, culture, music, dancing, and then we plant. You plant as much as you want, right? And one thing that the chieftain of this town taught us early on is on our first visit, we were supposed to pay them in one day the equivalent of what they would earn in 1 month because of tourism. That's why tourism is so powerful and everybody wants tourism. But chieftain, being a grade 6 dropout, said, I don't want the money. And I asked him, why don't you want the cash? And he said, sir, if you give me money, said it in Tagalog, I might spend it on 3-in-1 coffee, I might spend it on cigarettes, I might spend it on cell phone credits, none of which is sustainable. Right? So if you're coming back, look at our land. It is 3,000 hectares, but empty. Nakatiwangwang yung lupa namin. If you come back, bring us seeds, because seeds we will plant. And if someone steals the seeds, the thief will plant the seeds anyway. And no matter what, the children of this town will benefit. Right? And so that's what we did. We said, wow, this guy reminds us of Yoda. He's very, very smart. You know? And his training really is, he was teaching us that there are different currencies from money, and that sustainability doesn't always have to start with cash. It can start with effort, because seeds we had in abundance at home. And so we did 2 things. We started collecting seeds, planting for the environment and planting for their green and sustainable economy. Right? So this is the result of planting for the environment. So all of the guests get to contribute, whether you plant on top or you do reforestation activities below. The tourism money also just gets plowed back into supporting the community to reforest, right? So this is our way of trying to reduce temperature, reduce flood, right? Fight poverty in our own way. Now, one thing that's very important is not everyone can go on a trip. So we also have this certificate option where you just pay us and then we'll send you a certificate and we'll do batch planting. We're preparing our batch planting this year. We're supposed to plant anywhere between 30 to 50,000 trees this rainy season. No? Now, planting for the economy is important because what we found out is that if the successful DNR plantations, after planted, the DNR leaves, and so the money stops flowing into that community. Some communities transition well, and some communities are tempted to just chop the trees again, sell it as lumber or charcoal, and then tell the the funders, uy, wala nang puno, may nagputol. Please fund us again. Wretched cycle. And so we said, we can't afford that here. No? And so the first thing we did was we went to the Good Shepherd sisters who make amazing ube jam in Baguio, and we asked for their seeds, and we grew it. No? And so from that, we started growing different things in San Felipe. That's the same spot as earlier. Yeah. So as the forest grew, so did the number of products that grow around it, whether it's honey or agroforestry and flowers. This is in Subic here. It's Tingtingin River. The elder here was in the hotel earlier, right? So they're growing calamansi, papaya, chili, right? And then on my birthday in 2016, I forced all my friends to plant bamboo. And in 2020, lockdown, we were selling bamboo stars made out of that same bamboo, right? So bamboo to the rescue. No tourism, it's fine. We just didn't sell a lot when Lenny sold pink stars. Yeah. And then the last one is cashew, right? It is climate tolerant. The community knows how to grow it. We have a shortage of it, and so we started growing. We have 20,000+ cashew growing in San Felipe. It's owned by the community, and they're growing it as well. So anyway, I think the message here is that something I learned here is that there's a role for charity and there's a role for sustainability. Many times the Aitas here, a symbol of poverty, whether they they wanted that or not, have been receiving a lot of charity, and that's nice. But 30 years later, it's time to make them sustainable because donors get tired of giving, right? And the elder here at the Erlinda, you can find her in the El Caballo Falls area. She was one who first told me that if you're going to come here to help us, we also want to help you, because if it's one way, this relationship will stop, right? And that's an important tenet of sustainability, the personal dynamics between two people or several parties, right? And so the work we've showed you, it makes us hopeful, right? It's very purposeful, but we have to ask, why does it happen all the time, right? Because we haven't hit the root cause. No? And the reality is that the world is a reflection of what is inside mankind's head, because we are the dominant species on the planet, right? And that's why it's important to work on education, right? Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, it's too hot, it's hard to educate, right? What we're trying to do today, knowing that not everyone can go on fun field trips, or not everyone has the benefit of having teachers that have access to the latest information, we try to gamify the way that people do education. So this is our take on gamifying climate education while teaching them about history and the environment.
Hey guys, my name is Raf. I'm a social entrepreneur in the Philippines. Welcome to Zambales. Before we start, I would like to know what brings you to this adventure.
So here you get to pick the option that you want to do. Are you here to learn about tribes, social entrepreneurship, how other people live, or climate change? Sir, can you pick?
I'm interested in social entrepreneurship.
Okay, you're interested in that.
You've come to the right place.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to meet an indigenous tribe
So-
that I've had the privilege of...
Just in the interest of time, what's going to happen is, in the middle of this, you're going to be able to select who you want to talk to, because I'm just the tour guide introducing you to the community. So in the end, this is what happens.
Madam, ito, ano, lahat na nang pupunta rito, ako nagtuturo ng magpana.
Guys, who would you like to be your travel companion in this part of the adventure?
Right. And then it becomes question and answer, right? So kids get to click and explore, then you can give them homework. When I learned about Aitas, I read 2 pages in my AP book, right? Does anyone want to go through it? Or I'll let you guys go through it later. Yeah, mostly si Lolo Doyong has the most clicks, because he's the most mysterious person, right? As the grandpa archer. No? And they're all alive. They're all people you can talk to. They're real people, right? And the money that we earn from this also gets plowed back to the reforestation program, as well as it drives tourism traffic for us. No? So anyway, we have a couple of adventures around communities. We're building another one around Lobo, Batangas, but this time with the Ridge to Reef story, including mangroves, coral reef, and rice terraces, because soil is very important. No? So again, the world is a reflection of what's inside man's head. And to change that, we must educate people for regeneration and sustainability. And that does include a lot of science concepts, math concepts, geography, history concepts. No? It is holistic in nature, right? So, yeah. Maybe with that, no? I just want to share that we're looking for different groups to partner with, whether it's NGOs, corps, or schools that we can share the information with, because we do want to upskill the teachers and help train them as well. There's a lot of work to do, and I think it's better if we just share, network, and do that together. No? So thank you, and I hope you guys learned a little something today. Please follow us online, madtravel_ph on Instagram. Thank you. Yeah. And as your host, I need to Q&A. Do you want? Actually, we didn't discuss that. Do you want to do Q&A now or later na lang? With the others. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Anyone wants to do any questions? Over here. Yeah. Go ahead.
How do you select the communities that you work with? And I'm just curious if, because maybe it's all new to them, diba? Parang is there resistance, and how do you overcome?
There is resistance, but it is a two-way process. So we have to choose them based on certain physical characteristics, on certain bodies of knowledge, and then on their willingness to work with us. But with Yang Ilin Zambales, I just found them randomly, and they said yes. But I had to visit them every month for a year before they said yes. Right? After that, the village, I tried getting the village outside Subic, Kanawan, which the chieftain wasn't interested after 3 visits. So I ended up in El Caballo here, and they said yes. Right? And at that time, I thought it wouldn't be a good site because it wasn't pretty like the standard Filipino place. The hike was hard, but it's not worth it at the end. You need a good view at the end, diba? Para sulit. What changed my perspective was when the the executive director of Forest Foundation came in, talked to the elder, and then she just outdid him in every plant category. And he was like, this site's gift is its knowledge. And that's how we learned it. And as we hung out more, we found out that they cook really well. So we went there before coming here to eat. Because they cook very nicely. We had rattan stew. Have you ever tried that before? Puso ng rattan. No, my first time to have it too. No. So anyway, that's the process. Yeah.
So how does the community gain from your partnership?
So they are first tour guides. Sometimes they are teachers. They are also the restaurant, right? So there are many forms of services that they can earn. Sometimes they're also the transportation, like we rent a Carabao, or someone has a tricycle, or we rent that as well. And what we're doing today, we're also encouraging them to make products. This is our first harvest of cashew, right? That we have. Let you guys try it. Baka Tina can open it na lang. Yeah. Sorry, that was meant for Jason, but he didn't take it, so it's yours. Yeah. But yun, because I think the path out of poverty of this country means empowering them, because they can feed us clean, right? And I'd rather the money goes to them than goes to China, US, etc. Yeah. So anyway, go ahead.
We're from BPI, so we're kind of curious because we also partner with some communities for some of our projects. So, how many can go at a time, for example, if they are interested?
So for San Felipe, we max out ideally not more than 20. We have maxed out at 40. Right? Any more than 40, then absolutely no. what we can do is we can split, what we have done is we have split them into multiple programs. So DOT hired us to do a program. We ran 201 day, but 40 went to El Caballo, 40 went to Pamulaklakin, 40 went to Apaliin, and there was another site that we were going to run that got canceled, but we transferred them elsewhere. We also have sites closer to Manila. We're working with a Dumagat in Antipolo, mainly because distance is an issue. It's hard to get to San Felipe, unless you're already staying in Subic. Like, that's why this place is a nice jump-off point, because we're just, in the morning, we're just an hour, 15 minutes away from them. Yeah. And then you can be back before dinner. Yeah. Sige. All right, sige, thank you. So, shall we, do you guys want to take a quick bathroom break before we call on the next speaker? No? No bathroom break?
Oh, there's coffee and there's
Oh, yeah, please.
Coffee, there's juice at the back, so if you want to refresh
Yeah.
yourself.
And for those who don't know, this is Zed. He's one of the directors of and the founder of Lighthouse Legacy Foundation. So thank you, Zed, for having us all here.
Sure. Thank you.
Ayun. Wait, who's the next speaker? Is it Irene or Nikki?
I think it's you.
Okay. Sige. Ikaw? Sige. All right. I-email it ba? That laptop. That laptop. Yeah. Sige. So guys, we'll just switch and then I'll introduce the next speaker. Please grab some coffee on the side. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah.
Yung type C. Comment na lang sa'yo.
Wait.
Actually, hindi ko sa
Irene? Wait ah.
Harold. Kay Harold.
Yeah.
Kama si Harold.
And Irene, para sulit. Sorry.
It's here.
Yan na pala eh. Very good. Ano ba to? Ang dami ko ng mic. Ano to, Ralph? It's so tech.